Well, a very, very good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining us on Sunday, the 28th of June, for the round 3 finals here from Silverstone National. This is the SMRC eSports Racing Summer Championship in association with Torque Racewear, Knockhill Racing Circuit, SMTA, and Track Scotland. We have 4 races coming up for you tonight, 2 races for the PlayStation finals, and then 2 rounds of the Xbox finals. So tonight is it's a little bit different. It's been a bit of a different week. We had Tom Davis joining us in the commentary booth, in the virtual commentary booth, earlier on in this week, and I feel like I've got to be on my best behaviour tonight because we have someone that I'm very proud to actually have got into the virtual commentary box tonight. It's none other than the voice of the SMRC Paddock Pass podcast, Andy Alston. Welcome to the commentary box. How are you?
Very nervous now. You've really piled on the pressure there, David.
See, that's what I tend to do. I tend to sort of bump everyone up and then they get nervous, and it's all good. Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
No, I'm delighted to be here, David. Thank you very much for having me. I tell you something, if the action in the qualifying heats is anything to go by, then we are in for a treat at the finals. So I'm very much looking forward to this.
Yeah, that's absolutely spot on. We had some incredible qualifying action through the week, and this is who we have got out on track for our first heat just now. We've got Andrew McIlvride, Oliver Stewart, Kenneth Brewster, Stuart Anderson, Kevin Barry, Thomas Comer, Kieran Preedy, Stephen Clark, Darrell Adams, Finlay Brunton, Glenn Alcock, Elliot Lethway, Alan Gordon and Annie Butterworth. 14 drivers all making the cut through to the final. However, from those who are on stream might be able to see, Kevin Barry will not be joining us tonight. He messaged in on YouTube on the live stream to say he's gutted he can't take his place tonight. He is in hospital waiting to go into theatre shortly. We don't know why. Kevin, we send all our best wishes from all of the team here at the stream, and all of the drivers and viewers as well. Cormac Parson on Facebook chat, good evening, son. Thank you very much for joining us. Right, so minus Kevin Barry, that is who we have got out in action. I would argue that we had Andy, some of the finest racing on the PlayStation during the week there.
Yeah, definitely. The one thing that's really impressed me with the PS4 platform is just how close they are fighting wheel to wheel, because as we know, a big part of that is knowing that you can trust the other driver that you're battling with, because that way you can really push each other and produce some great action. So let's hope we see more of the same here.
Excellent. Very, very well put. So without further ado, let's go and have a little quick look around Silverstone then here for the track guide. And it's the national layout which we're racing on tonight. So turn 1 is going to be straight into Copse Corner. Very, very difficult corner at high speed. Very easy to understeer the car and go off wide. And then you're going to come up to what would normally be Maggots and Beckett's, but after much arguing and deliberation, we realised that it's into Aintree Corner here, the long sweeping right-hander before you're kicking the Ginetta GT5 into life down the Wellington straight here, underneath the bridge, and then it's going to be on the brakes as late as you possibly can. Normally you'd see them down at the 50-metre marker, and then it's into Brooklands, again a sweeping left-hander, and it tightens up towards the end there, along in towards Luffield, a corner that I know all too well in real life. And then you want to try and get onto the power as early as you possibly can, because this is where your next lap begins. Woodcote Corner, very straightforward, right-hander here, and you go across the line to do it in a 1 minute and 5 second lap there. So without further ado, let's head over to the track. Andy, we've got the laps coming in here, 61 already for that is Thomas Comer, who's done that, 61.936. So some very, very fast lap times going in already.
Definitely, we've seen most drivers around about the 1 minute 2 mark, so if anyone breaks that, then you know they are very much on the pace straight away. So absolutely, Thomas Comer is one to watch for this heat here tonight.
That's a great point, actually, because obviously during the qualifying heats we had a good amount of cars, maybe say 4-5 cars per heat that were within about half a second of each other. Now 11 cars here within 1 second, so really that just shows testament to the amount of practice and the amount of skill that these drivers have got.
Yeah, definitely. And in the second heat in the PS4 on Wednesday, we had the top four in qualifying split by under a tenth of a second. So what we could be seeing here over the next 3 minutes or so is the difference between a couple of tenths being in the front row of the grid or all the way towards the back of the pack. So qualifying is going to be absolutely crucial for this one.
Certainly is. So 3.5 minutes left to go in qualifying for this first race of the evening, and it looks like it is currently Thomas Comer up in pole position. He is the only man at the moment to go under 62 seconds. And then after him is Kenny Brewster. It looks like that is Haggis 117. That is of course Oliver Stewart, who is up into third place. So some big times coming in just now here. And also that looks like Finlay Brunton up into fourth place, Alan Gordon in fifth. It's then Andrew McIlvride in sixth place, seventh place for Oliver Stewart, Stephen Clark in eighth place, and then it is Darrell Adams in ninth, with Elliot Lethway in 10th place, 62.887 for him, and then it is Kieran Preedy as well, Cobra 2012 in 11th place, Annie Butterworth down in 12th with a 63.119, and then it is Mr. Superfast Scots himself, Glenn Alcock in 13th place. And delighted to see Glenn qualifying here, and he usually leaves it in the tank until the last couple of minutes.
Yeah, Glenn's a good friend of mine, and we're speaking to him a lot about this eSports Championship, and I think he's been a bit unlucky so far. I think over the course of the first couple of events, I think he'd be the first to admit that his qualifying performances haven't quite been as good as they could be, but when you watch him in the race, I feel he really comes into his own. He's quite a smooth driver, so it'll be interesting to see if he can work his way up that pack. But then, as you say, he does tend to leave it late, and there's certainly not long left in this session, so let's see if he can make his way up the pack.
Yep, so just a minute and a half left to go in qualifying here for your first heat of the evening. It is still Thomas Comer up in front by just under 0.2 of a second there over Kenny Brewster. Kenny Brewster is just completed. In fact, Kenny Brewster in the pits just now as we see Thomas Comer coming out of Woodcut Corner to take another lap. I don't think this is going to be faster than his previous one, purely because, oh my goodness me, a bit of contact there on qualifying. That is not what you want to see, because that now basically destroys 2 other laps there. So yeah, that is not the best sort of thing to see during qualifying. So we'll find out what on earth happened there potentially afterwards. And the car's not looking to be running as smooth as they were earlier on in the week, but I think that is going to be Thomas Comer. That is pretty much going to be his qualifying session done as he rejoins the circuit just now. But is there anybody in the pack just now, Andy, that you've got your eye on?
I think Finlay Brunton for me. I thought he had quite a good race during the week. He's currently sitting there fourth at the moment, 0.3 behind. I think if he can get off to a good start, he's one I would certainly think would have a good chance for a podium or even better.
Yeah, that's a great shout actually, because we also see Kieran Preedy, who is no slouch, and the problem tends to be is that I find with both Finlay and Kieran is that they find themselves in the centre of all the wrong sorts of attention during the race. So if there's incidents, they tend to be gravitated towards those sorts of incidents. But qualifying done and dusted, 11 cars we have within 1 second of that quite frankly awesome pole lap from Thomas Comer. And that is a very, very quick lap, 61.936 ahead of Kenny Brewster. It's Haggis 117, that's Oliver Stewart in third place, makes himself up there. We've then got fourth place for Finlay Brunton, Big Bloody B, and then Alan Gordon down in fifth place with Andrew McIlvride in sixth. It's going to be Corrupted Tree, that's Stuart Anderson in seventh place, Stephen Clark in eighth place, and then it is Darrell Adams in 9th place, with Elliot Lethwaite coming across the line in 10th place as well. We do have laps going on just now, but that is going to be all she wrote for the qualifying. So, Andy, this is shaping up very, very nicely for our first heat of the evening.
Yeah, it definitely is. I really, really cannot wait to see this getting started, because we've got a lot of quick drivers in this one, not a lot separating them as well in qualifying, and if you can keep your car out of trouble in the first lap or so, then you can maybe go on from there. So you've got to get off to a nice sensible start here.
Here we go then, the lights are about to come on here at Silverstone National Circuit. We are on schedule for our first race of the evening. The lights are on, the engine notes rise, and away we go. Great start for Thomas Comer, and that's an even better start for Darrell Adams halfway down the field there. We see his car pitching to the left hand side as he tries to get traction in the little Ginetta GT5 cars. These cars are what you would reasonably say is underpowered cars, but this class racing makes it a real joy to take part in. And Thomas Comer has a bit of a gap there, as we see a huge melee going on for second place right now between Kenny Brewster, Oliver Stewart, Finlay Brunton and Stephen Clark, all the way up to 5th place there. And this is what you want to see. This is the sort of racing that we were kind of neglected from the Xbox, Andy.
Yeah, an absolutely stunning start there from Thomas Comer. Look at that, almost 1 second ahead already, and not even completed a lap. And yeah, it's been nice and clean so far. Lots of cars are making their way through, no problem at all. So the stage is absolutely set for a great opening race.
Yep, here we go then. So Andy is really enjoying the race here. We've got a drive-through penalty already. Who is that into pit lane? That's Thomas Comer. That is your race leader, who has jumped the start and is now down into 11th place. So huge drama there, as has Stephen Clark. We didn't see that one coming.
I did say he got a good start, didn't I? So.
Yeah, obviously too good. So that's a huge upset right now, because that throws the ballpark wide open. Kenny Brewster is now ahead of Oliver Stewart, 1st and 2nd place. Darrell Adams up into 3rd place as well, and they're side by side further on. That's Finlay Brunton and Andrew McIlvride as they all come piling down Wellington Straight for the 2nd time of asking. But that's an absolute disaster, isn't it, Andy, for Thomas Comer?
It certainly is, and this was a great opportunity for him to get some points for him in the championship standings, and it'll be interesting to see if he can recover and make his way through that field. But yeah, it's not what he's hoping for at all.
Fantastic move up the inside there from Andrew McIlvride on. That looked to be Finlay Brunton. I think Finlay Brunton's just going to hold up the outside there. That was along Blufffield and then Woodcut corner, but he's going to make the move stick. So Andrew McIlvride moves up into 5th place there, and in front though we've got all sorts of shenanigans going on. We've got a 3-car battle for the lead coming down in towards Abbey. And this is awesome stuff. 7.5 minutes left to go, and very respectful racing. Touch wood so far. It's still Kenny Brewster from Oliver Stewart and Darrell Adams in the mix as well.
Well, absolutely, and I think the last couple of corners of this lap are absolutely crucial as well. This is where you can really make some time up. So yeah, this top 3, they'll be looking to try and make their way, or top 4 I should say, so trying to make their way away from the chasing pack.
So they come round to Luffield then for the 3rd time of asking, and it is Darrell Adams that has moved up to the lead, so he has jumped ahead, and Kenny Brewster has been absolutely mugged right now. Kenny Brewster now down into 4th place, Oliver Stewart in 2nd. Elliot Lethwaite has had a cracking recovery drive. He is up into 3rd place right now. And yeah, 6.5 minutes left to go. This is a brilliant race, and look at this. That now means that Finlay Brunton and Annie Butterworth are in that pack as well.
Yeah, definitely. And look at that, not even a second that separates all of them as well. So still very much all to play for here as we come down the Wellington Street. And there's contact.
Yep, that is big contact there. Cars recovering. I think that was Kenny Brewster and Oliver Stewart that came into mischief there. I think that's the polite word that we'll be looking for there, and we'll see. That looks like Glenn Alcock making hay while the sun shines just now. He's off into the corner as well, so he's up into, what's that, 8th place now as well from the back of the grid. So having a look at your leaders now, 4 abreast almost as they come round Woodcote Corner. And a brilliant battle between Finlay Brunton, who has sneaked his way back up to the front of that grid there, and just in front of Darryl Adams. Annie Butterworth, though, in contention for a podium. Not only that, she could be on charge for winning her first race.
Yeah, tremendous race so far. And I was really impressed with Annie in the qualifying heats as well, because there was, she just manages to keep her way out of trouble, and as other people are kind of making contact, she's done a good job of just making her way gradually through the field, and absolutely in contention for a podium place.
Well, one thing that is going to strike her just now is the fact that she has got quite a bit of penalties. As we see, a dive up the inside there from Finlay Brunton onto Elliot Lethwaite there. Elliot Lethwaite now in the lead there. What a move up the inside though from Darryl Adams, and just ends up blocking Annie Butterworth from that battle as well. So again, side by side with 4 minutes left to go, side by side for Finlay Brunton and Darryl Adams. This battle for second place really hotting up, and I say battle for second place, but really this is a 4-car battle for the lead, Andy.
Yeah, absolutely is. And just as we come into Cops Corner here, that's a corner where you really want to carry as much speed as possible as you come into Maggots and Aintree, and then up to the Wellington Straight here. So 4 of them right coming up to a very hard braking zone here as well, and looking to try and make a move here.
Excellent. Thank you very much, chat. I'll try and turn Andy's mic up as much as I can. Hopefully that is a bit better. I think, to be honest, it's because I'm quite loud, so I'll turn my mic down as well, and we'll turn the audio down. So hopefully, there we go, we can hear Andy a little bit better. It looks fine from my end, so all is good. But Elliot Lethwaite still leading this field round. Elliot Lethwaite from Darryl Adams, from Finlay Brunton, and Annie Butterworth in 4th place. Behind them, though, it's Kenny Brewster in 5th place, from Kieran Preedy in 6th. Oliver Stewart, who was looking so good earlier on, is fighting off. That is Andrew McIlvray trying to sneak up the inside as well, and that is Stuart Anderson in 9th place, and then Glenn Alcock has slipped back down to 10th place ahead of Alan Gordon and Thomas Comer. Thomas Comer will be absolutely kicking himself after that performance and that jump start. But back with your leaders, and here we go. Darryl Adams tries to sneak up the inside of Abby. They're nose to nose, they're tail to tail as well, and door handle to door handle. So a little bit of contact, but they move away from each other. Oh, there's more contact as well. That was Elliot Lethwaite moving over to assert his dominance over Darryl Adams, and this is getting silly now. They're going to have to watch each other to make sure they don't take each other out, and I think that is what is going to happen here, because this is getting a little bit too touchy-feely for my liking. And look at that, Elliot Lethwaite hung out to dry, and he's gone from 1st down to 3rd.
Yeah, Elliot will be absolutely furious with that there, because he was looking good value for the lead as well, and there's still more contact as they come around Woodcote and onto the straight here ahead of Cops. And can he get his way back in? There's only just over 2 minutes to go here, so the pressure is very much on.
Oh, there's contact again, Elliot Lethwaite and Finlay Brunton. This is what I said. Finlay Brunton finds himself in the middle of calamity and danger all of the time, but he gets himself back going again. Finlay Brunton now down into 6th place, and quite possibly going to drop down to 8th because his speed is compromised. But look at this, that has allowed Darryl Adams off into the lead then. Elliot Lethwaite recovers in 3rd place, and Annie Butterworth into 2nd place. This is not over with just 2 minutes left to go.
Oh, an absolute superb drive from Annie as well. Again, just keeping that car out of trouble, and that's half the battle, I think, when you're around such a short track as this Silverstone National configuration. If you can just keep your car on the track, make sure you're going round there nice and steady, then you'll get your reward. 2nd place as it stands, but still just over a minute to go.
I think Darryl Adams might have the pace, because that gap now is starting to stretch out. It's to over a second here with 1.5 minutes left to go. We're probably going to get 2 more laps left on this first race, but it's had it all. It's had drama, it's had thrills and spills and contact and hijinks, and Kenny Brewster now back up to 5th place. But Kieran Preedy, what a drive from him to get all the way up to 4th place there, and that means that Oliver Stewart away down into 6th place, and Finlay Brunton, right enough, is down into 8th. And the way his aggression is right now with Andrew McIlvray there, he might be even further down the field.
Yeah, absolutely. He's got to be careful here as he's got 2 cars round about him down this Wellington straight. He takes inside line there, looks like he's going defensive, and let's see if he can hold on to that position as we come into Brooklands.
Yep, just having a look back at your leader, because Darrell Adams, that gap is now down to 0.6 of a second, and Annie Butterworth actually closing that gap. It's now down to half a second. So this could be an absolute barnstormer of a finish for our very first heat tonight. So you really love the action and the intensity that we have here for the SMRC eSports Racing Championship. And what a performance we've had from our finalists so far.
Absolutely. I think Annie's really setting the standard here as well. Just really impressed with this opening event. Let's see, as we go into this final lap, if you can maybe make a move as we come into the final part of the lap down the Wellington Straight. Now, it doesn't quite look close enough. Let's see if they can maybe get in the toe here and see if they can make a move into Brooklands and Luffield.
Yeah, I think it's going to be all she wrote for that one, because it does look like that is going to be Darrell Adams stretching away there. Let's go trackside again and we'll have a look at the penalties. Now, hang on a minute.
Ooh.
Darrell Adams, 37 seconds of penalties. I wonder if that's been for repeated contact and repeated going over the track limits there. So that means that Annie Butterworth is about to win her first ever race.
Oh, wow.
We saw that during the qualifiers, Andy. He's going to be absolutely furious, because watch, he's going to go all the way down the order here, and we'll have to have a look into what actually happened. But we've had that happen quite a few times, and what I wonder is if he is skipping a specific part of the track and it's triggering the game's penalty system. And it's quite possible, because all 4 of those cars that were up in the lead, Andy, they were all over the place through the race there.
Yeah, I'm just trying to rack my brains as to where that would be, David, because, I mean, to get that amount of penalties is quite something, and we're only talking over a 10-minute race as well. I
stand corrected as well, because Annie Butterworth had those 2 seconds of penalties. It's actually Elliot Lethwaite that's won this first race here. So Elliot Lethwaite takes round number 1 from Annie Butterworth and Kenny Brewster in 3rd place. Wow.
Drama get started, David.
That is just insane. Kenny Brewster in 3rd place, Oliver Stewart in 4th place. We've got Kieran Preedy in 5th. It's going to be Stuart Anderson in 6th place, Andrew McIlvride, Alan Gordon. We've got Glenn Alcock in the top 10, which is a fantastic result for him. Thomas Comer in 10th place, 11th place for Darrell Adams. We've got Finlay Brunton and Stephen Clark at the back. So we'll take a very short break to pick the bones out of that. And when we come back, we will have round number 2 of the SMRC eSports Summer Championship.
If we had another chance, I would never let you steal my glance. Bring me back to life.
Well, welcome back. A wonderful, wonderful race one there, and some real highlights and a lot to talk about. Andy, where do we even begin with that one?
Well, what an introduction that was to the finals. I think the lesson learned for me would be don't rack up any penalties. You know, if you can just keep that car out of trouble, you've got a great chance of getting a positive result here. So it's all about making sure you know the track limits as well. You don't exceed them. There's a couple of areas around this national circuit where you could easily, you know, I'm thinking Brooklands here is maybe the key corner where it's, you know, you come into the inside of that corner, you want to be greedy with the curb, but take a little bit too much, and there is a risk of adding up those time penalties. So just keep your car out of trouble and you've got a good chance of getting a positive result.
Yeah, and it's a case of what could have been for Darrell Adams through that first race there. He did incredibly well, and some really hard battling up at that front position there, taken away from him by 37 seconds worth of penalties. And we all know that this game is notoriously strict for punishing cut track excursions and things like that. We've seen that. But like you said, the majority of drivers able to get round without taking any penalties at all.
Oh, absolutely. And as you mentioned, Project Cars 2, it is notorious for that. I completely agree. But again, that's part of your racecraft. You incorporate that into your approach for a lap. So if you know that the game is going to be very strict, then you do want to make sure you're the right side of the white line as a result. Whereas if it's a game where it is a little bit more lenient, then yes, you can be a little bit more greedy with the curbs. So it is a case of tailoring your driving to suit not only the car and the track, but indeed the platform that you're racing on.
Yep, great points all round. So another man that really we should be talking about is Thomas Comer. Thomas Comer taking pole position for that first race and then throwing it all away by getting a drive-through penalty.
No, unbelievable. You know, again, we said at the start he made a good getaway, but then there was clearly a reason for that, and you know, he will be disappointed, and it's always a frustrating one at the start of the race if you are given a penalty because you feel like, well, that's it, it's all over. But again, that's not necessarily the case. You can still make your way through the pack. There are still championship points up for grabs, and of course, there's still a long way to go in this season.
I think that also kind of makes a point that you brought up early on into the broadcast about the strength of this field, and I think the fact that he couldn't claw his way back through the field in that first race just goes to show just the pace that everyone else had.
Yeah, definitely. You could perhaps argue in the Xbox there's more of an opportunity to make your way through the field, but certainly in the PS4, what we've noticed so far this season is that the gaps are much tighter, and particularly again when you're on a track where it's 62 seconds, 61 seconds sometimes for one full flying lap. If you're more than a couple of tenths behind, then it can be difficult.
So we switch over to the live stream then, and we are 7 minutes away from qualifying being done and dusted tonight. It is currently Oliver Stewart in pole position, 62.060. That's his fastest lap of the day, and that puts him back up into contention there. Now, let's have a look further down the field as well, because a lot of drivers just getting their first couple of laps in there. And again, you made the point about Glenn Alcock not qualifying very well, but doing much better through the race. I mean, Annie Butterworth there, 63.232. She could very well improve on that this time round, but she was only about 9th or 10th on the qualifying.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, if you've got that, you know, sometimes in a driver, they don't necessarily have that one lap pace, but it's about your racecraft. It's about how you can make your way through the field, and you don't necessarily need to be able to, you know, get the absolute maximum out of the car over one lap. If you can just keep it, you know, get a decent enough result, then you can move and go from there, because there will be drivers that you'll be competing with who might not necessarily be able to perform on a consistent basis. Yep,
so the same conditions, it's still ideal conditions in the middle of or the start of summer here at the virtual recreation of Silverstone, and this track, Andy, is a very, very demanding track. And have you got any real life memories of it?
Yeah, I've been here 3 times, and I tell you, every single time I've been, there's been something controversial, there's been something major that's happened. So I went, first ever experience, 1998, and that was the one, pouring rain, Michael Schumacher won in the pit lane, and cards on the table, big Schumacher fan, so I was delighted, but everybody around wasn't necessarily so happy. I was there in the full Ferrari regalia and everything, so I went back the following year, sitting in the grandstand, or the old grandstand, and of course that was a race where Schumacher unfortunately broke his leg. David Coulthard winning in that occasion. Then I went back in 2010, which was the last race around the old layout of the old pit straights were.
Yep.
And that was the one where Mark Webber won, and it was the not bad for a number 2 driver. So I've got a special relationship with this circuit. And yeah, what better place to come and make my debut in the SMRC eSports Championship commentary.
So what you're saying is that every year you go there, something awesome happens.
Pretty much, and I think if the first race is anything to go by here, then we're in for a real treat here tonight. I think there'll be plenty more action between now and the end of the session.
I think we're going to get spoiled for talking points. Look at that, Thomas Comer, while we've been chatting there, 61.827, even faster than his previous pole lap there. So he's going to try and make amends for his huge whopper of a mistake on race 1 there. He certainly put himself in a good position there. As we see, let's have a look through the rest of the list there. Darrell Adams down in 7th place. Again, a man who was really, really, you know, you kind of look to comfortably take the win, but those penalties really put paid to his plans. But again, he's doing a 62.565, so not the fastest, but it's his race pace that will see him through. I think Andrew McIlvright has seen enough of the Silverstone track. I think that's maybe going to be him done for the day, 62.202, and he is into pit lane. And Alan Gordon in 4th place there with a 62.292. But look at that, Oliver Stewart getting a nice little toe here, and that could work out very, very well for Oliver Stewart. Goes cross line 62.060, and that is just 0.2 of a second with 3 minutes left to go in qualifying. Right, okay, so we had an awesome race 1. What do we think we're going to see in race 2?
I think it'll be more of the same, honestly. Really looking forward to seeing how Finlay Brunton, who we're looking at just now, looking forward to seeing how he gets on. Kenny Brewster as well is one to watch. Of course he is, and he would be if he's right up there, top of the PS4 Championship standings on 89 points. So yeah, there's a lot to play for here as we go into the next race.
2.5 minutes left to go, and the other point is as well is that, you know, we're coming now to almost halfway through the season here. Looking at the rest of the championship ahead, Do you think that some of these guys are going to be kind of holding off and maybe just trying to think about points, or do you think that they're just going to be going for every possible thing that they can get?
Well, this is when the mindset of the driver really comes into play, because, as you say, they could perhaps go on the offensive and try to get as many points as possible, or you maybe try and take a bit more of an Alain Prost approach to it and be a bit more methodical and just look to pick up those points, because ultimately, as long as you're there or thereabouts in terms of your finishing positions, then you will be right up towards the top of the standing. So if you go absolutely all out, determined to push, determined to try and get a final podium place when it really there's only a couple of points in it, sometimes that can come back to haunt you. So it'll be very interesting to see how the drivers approach not only this event, but of course the next couple of ones as well.
Yeah, the big talking point, of course, is going to be on the 8th of July, when we're next back after tonight for the consoles. We have a week's break, and then we are off to the Circuit de 24 Heures de Mans. That I absolutely butchered that. I was not good at French at school, so I apologise. But we're off to the Circuit de la Sarthe, and instead of the Ginetta GT5s, we will be taking a one-time excursion to the 2015 Aston Martin Vantage GTE at Le Mans. A special race, and these guys and girls getting to recreate some memories in Project Cars 2.
You know, absolutely. It's a legendary circuit, of course it is. And seeing the drivers in a different car as well will be interesting, because they've had a lot of seat time in these Ginettas, and it'll be fascinating to see how they make that transition into that Vantage GTE.
And of course, it holds a lot of special memories for us here in Scotland. Johnny Adam taking the checkered flag just a few years ago, and that memory still lives very, very brightly, I know, for one of our good friends, Duncan Vincent, who is over there with commentary, and hopefully we'll see him back in September with his awesome little cycling helmet. So big shout out to Dunk if you're listening in tonight. And I always remember listening to the commentary, and of course commentary, you've got to be impartial, everyone's equals, and you can hear just how excited the commentators are, and you can hear the muffled shouts of excitement as Johnny comes across the line on that final lap there. So the SMRC competitors getting to emulate that success over at the virtual recreation of the Circuit de la Sarthe in 2 weeks' time. That will be on the 8th of July and the 12th of July, so you'll be joining us for the qualifying heats for that one. But back to tonight, and we have to turn our focus, because he's went and done it. It's 2 out of 2 for Thomas Comer, who does it with a 61.827 to take pole position. Oliver Stewart in second place there with his remaining lap 62.060. Darrell Adams is going to try and stay on the track and not get any more penalties this time round. He's in third place with a 62.128. Andrew McIlwright in fourth place. Then it's Kenny Brewster in fifth. Alan Gordon gets bumped down into sixth place there. And then in 7th place is going to be Finlay Brunton. 8th place for Stuart Anderson. 9th place for Kieran Preedy. 10th place for Stephen Clark. Elliot Lethwaite in 11th place. Annie Butterworth and Glenn Alcock at the back of the field, 12th and 13th. Here we go then, Andy. Who's your 20 pence piece on for this race?
Well, if Thomas Comer can get his start sorted out this time, then he's certainly there. We know he's got the pace, so if he can just make sure he times those lights properly, then he could go on and take the win here today. Let's
go on board then with Thomas Comer. The lights are on, they hold in, he gets a good start this time. He hasn't jumped the start from what I see. And we're going off into Cops Corner for the first time of asking the cars. All very orderly. It looks to be that Oliver Stewart trying to sneak up the inside there, and we're almost going to go 3 wide. Andrew McIlvray does make it 3 wide into Maggot. This is never going to happen, surely. Down into Abbey. Andrew McIlvray gets taken out and tries to keep the foot in and collides with another car. There's contact and all hell is breaking loose. I think that was Annie Butterworth that got taken out at the back there. It certainly was. And that was bad. That was really, really bad. You saw Andrew McIlvray there trying to keep his foot in. he came back onto the track there, I think collided with Darrell Adams, or maybe it was Kieran Preedy, and just absolutely clattered into Annie Butterworth there.
Absolutely not a lot of parts left on that Janetta as well, so not come out of that battle very well at all, and that's not what we want to see so early into the race, because you know you can put so much effort into getting a good qualifying position and then it's done in a couple of corners.
And of course remember that there's the protest system, so all of these drivers, if they feel aggrieved, if they feel hard done by, are invited to submit a complaint protest after the race, and I've got the feeling that there will be several on later on. But who was that going round the outside there? That was Kenny Brewster trying to get his foot in there as well, clips into the back of Elliot Lethwaite, and no such luck for that, and that means that Annie Butterworth is on her own. Remember, it is only cosmetic damage, so this is what you were saying about just trying to knuckle down and trying to get back into the race there. Meanwhile, our stream chat is going, they're loving this, because I've always said that the PS4 is the cleaner of the two consoles, and they're like, you see, you said Xbox is dirty. So if this is what PS4 is like, I am genuinely frightened, Andy, to my core at what we're about to see for the Xbox.
Well, you know, that's part of the beauty of this championship, though. You know, both console platforms produced a very different style of racing. You know, in the Xbox, it's got a bit of a reputation for being more aggressive. You know, you've got drivers scrapping for every inch of tarmac to attack or defend a position. All of this combined, it's the perfect recipe for drama. So don't go anywhere, because we've got some fantastic racing, not only to look at just now, but still to come.
Yep, we certainly do. 7 minutes left to go in the session. This is a nice little battle for the lead, because look at that. 2 seconds splits 5 cars right now. It's Thomas Comer, Oliver Stewart and Alan Gordon, and then it's a little bit of a gap with Finlay Brunton and Stuart Anderson in that battle as well. In fact, that looks like Finlay Brunton taking chunks of time out of Alan Gordon up in front, and the gap now between Kieran Preedy and Annie Butterworth, 6 seconds, so she is desperately trying to catch onto back of that group. Meanwhile, have a look at Glenn Alcock. He is in a bit of a sandwich right now between Darrell Adams and Stephen Clark. He is fighting his way round there and doing very, very well to keep himself up there.
Oh, he certainly is. You know, Glenn's kept the car out of trouble so far. Again, I know he's very happy to be here in these finals, and if he can make a couple of points, he comes into contact there. Oh, jeez.
That was a heart and mouth moment there, as we see. I think that is Darrell Adams getting a slow down penalty, and Stephen Clark, that was mighty aggressive there down the inside of Abbey Corner, and it's, you hate to see it, don't you?
Well, you know, this is the thing. Esports, the way you approach an overtake is still the same as you would do in the real world. You need to size up your opponent. You need to look at where they're stronger, where they're weaker around the track, and then look to exploit that. If you send it, yes, sometimes you will catch them off guard and get success, but that's not always the case, as we've seen there.
Further up the field then, we've got brilliant little battles going on through the rest of the field. Oliver Stewart currently fighting it out with Alan Gordon for 2nd and 3rd place. They are making their way down through Maggots and then round Abbey very, very shortly. It's going to be the battle of the late breakers, but looks like Alan Gordon just trying to hold on and kind of size up his opponent. This is the kind of racing that I like to see, where he's kind of just backing off a little bit. He's letting him know he's there, but he's waiting. He's what we would say up here in Scotland, he's biding his time.
Biding his time, that's exactly what I was about to say there, you know, because you don't need to make the move in the first couple of laps. Sometimes it's easier just to sit behind. Oh,
contact, just as we said there, we've jinxed it there. There's absolutely going to be justice out after that one, because Alan Gordon's going to feel like he was aggrieved. In fact, no, sorry, Oliver Stewart is going to feel like he was aggrieved there. There was a big bit of contact there on the inside, and he was taken out of the corner. He had the inside line, and it was just thrown up at Luffield there. So yeah, Oliver Stewart going to have to try to get back onto the back of Alan Gordon. That's allowed Thomas Comer to break away a little bit, but not too much. He's only 0.9 of a second ahead of this group here, and I wonder if Look at that, Finlay Brunton up the inside as well to catch onto Alan Gordon. So it's now Thomas Comer, Alan Gordon, and then it's Finlay Brunton up there as well with Oliver Stewart, and then it is Stuart Anderson in that 5-car train as well. Look at that, Stuart Anderson looks to the inside, fires it up there, and can he make it stick? Yep. Oliver Stewart not making that same mistake twice, and will just let him have it. He wants the points rather than being taken out of this race.
Really nice move in there. Composed going into Brooklands. It's a great opportunity to try and make that overtake, because it's one of those corners where if you get it absolutely spot on, you can do it even better as you come into Luffield and onto the back straight.
So just having a look here, and Kenny Brewster ahead of Stephen Clark right now. That's the battle for 7th and 8th, and then it's Darryl Adams away ahead of Kieran Preedy, and then it is Glenn Alcock in 11th place, with Elliot Lethwaite having huge contact there, and he is down in 12th place there. So big drama. Annie Butterworth coming into more chaos as well. She's now 35 seconds behind the field, and I've got a feeling that she might have come together with Elliot Lethwaite. However, have a look at your race leader. It's now down to 2/10 of a second for Thomas Comer. Something has happened. He's lost 5/10 of a second on that last lap there. We've got 3 minutes left to go, and this is boiling over very nicely with just a couple of minutes left to go. Alan Gordon looks like he might have the pace, Andy, to push this right to the end.
No, absolutely, and this is where it starts to get a little bit nervous for Thomas Comer now. Does he just look to try and look in those mirrors, try and preserve that lead? But he's not got much of a gap between him and the chasing pack. Very interesting to see how he's going to approach this one.
Stuart Anderson makes the move up to 4th place. In fact, no, sorry, that's Oliver Stewart who had the moment there, had the momentum, and makes that move back to 4th place. But look at this. This is your battle for the lead right now, ladies and gentlemen. 2 minutes left to go. Thomas Comer hanging on with his fingernails for dear life, and there's contact behind. That is Finlay Brunton yet again, and Alan Gordon sent facing the wrong way and put down into 6th place. So yet again, Finlay Brunton finds himself into contact there, and just ahead of Alan Gordon. Is there going to be some afters after that one? Andrew McIlvray back up into 4th place, and Thomas Comer breathing a sigh of relief. It's now 7/10 of a second. Oliver Stewart back into 2nd. Wow, 1.5 minutes left to go, so this is going to be the penultimate lap. He's going to come across the line, and we will have one more lap after that. What a cracking finish we've got here as we come on to lap number 9 here at the virtual recreation of Silverstone, your final race of the evening for the PS4s. But half a second, that gap is coming down. Look at this. Oliver Stewart is hunting down Thomas Comer, and Stuart Anderson trying to get in the mix as well, as is Andrew McIlvray. This could easily be a 4-car battle for the lead, Andy.
Yeah, just under a second it splits him as well. Absolutely phenomenal. You know, I did wonder if Thomas Comer just thought there in the last lap he had this race win in the bag, but it doesn't look like it yet. We are set for a grandstand finish here at the Silverstone circuit.
50 seconds left, so it's going to be the final lap after this, as Stuart Anderson tries to throw it round the outside of Luffield, and then it's going to be Woodcut Corner, but he's going to get caught, as Andrew McIlvray is surely going to have the better momentum and the better drive out of that, and through Woodcut he does. And are they going to go too wide on the last lap to Copse Corner? You never know. I think he is. Andrew McIlvray moves to the inside. Surely there's going to be contact. Oh, look at that. Stuart Anderson fires it up the inside and takes 2 places with 1 turn there. That allows Thomas Comer. Oh my goodness me, more contact, as that is Andrew McIlvray and Oliver Stewart. So it's all kicking off here.
Heart in your mouth stuff here, David, as we come onto the Wellingston Straight. I was just about to say you'll be hard pressed to find a better overtaking move than that here tonight. Absolutely stunning move to take 2 cars out there at once, and here we go, set for the last couple of corners. Well, let's see who can make their way through the pack.
Thomas Comer then through the final 3 corners here, and it's nose to tail for your third, 4th and 5th place as well. I think Thomas Comer may have this in the bag. I don't think Stuart Anderson's got anything for him, but look at this battle behind. Andrew McIlvray looks to have this one in the bag, but across the line comes Thomas Comer. He makes up for that horrible mistake in race 1. Second place is going to go to Stuart Anderson. Third place is going to go to Finlay Brunton after more penalties are handed out. Andrew McIlvray takes fourth place, and then it is Oliver Stewart down in fifth place. Stephen Clark takes sixth. Alan Gordon all the way down into seventh place. Kenny Brewster in eighth place, and then ninth place is Kieran Preedy. 10th place is going to be Glenn Alcock. 11th place for Elliot Lethwaite, and Darrell Adams, more penalties again for him, puts him down into 12th position. 13th place for Annie Butterworth, and look at that again, 35 seconds of penalties for Darrell Adams, so he has not learned his lesson.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. 2 races of pure drama here so far, David. Fantastic stuff.
That's absolutely spot on. So we will take a 5-minute break, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be back in just a couple of minutes' time for race number 1 of the Xbox. a very warm welcome back to tonight. We have got the Xboxes up on display next. And yeah, I'm quite excited for this one. We've got the session just away to begin just now, but Andy Alston joining us in the commentary box. It's been a wild night so far, hasn't it?
Certainly has, yeah. It's one way to spend your Sunday night. Absolutely phenomenal racing so far, which is no less than we would have expected here in the SMRC eSports Championship. You know, there's lots of very talented drivers out there, all keen to make their impression as well, of course. And yeah, stage is set for another two crackers coming up here.
Certainly is. So we have got action away to begin out on track, and as we said, this is the Xbox, so we've got certain expectations for this one, don't we? Am I being bad to them?
Let's stand by for drama. I'll be diplomatic and I'll say that. You know, do you know what? Fair play. You know, I think you naturally see drivers who are a little bit more aggressive, and there's nothing wrong with that. The trouble is that there is a fine line between going overboard, and as we've seen in the two PS4 events, you can rack up those penalties for track limits, you can rack them up for contact, so, you know, run your opponent close, but there is that very, very fine line of taking it a step too far. Yeah,
and that's the thing, is these drivers are consistently walking that line. So I could see that a lot of the drivers are enjoying the action that they had on the PS4. I can see the cars are kind of stuttering a little bit, which usually means that we need to fix some network issues. So hopefully that's okay for them in the server, but we'll make our way through it with 8 minutes left to go in the session. And also 61 seconds, 61.8 I think was the time that we saw from some of the leading drivers in that one. Do you think we'll see the same sort of pace?
I think this man we're watching here could well just do that, David. You know, the lap times are getting quicker and quicker across the board. I think 61 seconds is more than doable from a couple of drivers in this lobby.
So, one of the big things that we spoke about off air is the fact no Aiden Wilson this week.
Yes, it's a big shock. Of course, this is a big shock. He's the championship leader, not qualifying for the finals, and that heat that he was in was, I think, just one of those races where nothing really went right, you know, and it happens. But again, he would be disappointed more than anyone, and he knows within himself it's just one of those things. But again, as we've mentioned, we've got the 24 hours of Le Mans coming up in the Aston Martin GTE cars. That'll be a good opportunity to really show what he's capable of, and plenty of rounds still to come as well. So, you know, he's going to have to take this one on the chin, but don't count him out just yet.
Okay, no worries. Well, what we're going to do is, because we're seeing a little bit of jittering in the server just now, I'm going to go and pop in and have a little chat with the drivers, make sure they're all happy and okay to continue. So we'll take a very, very short break, and we'll be right back. So we'll get this race underway, and we'll give the old router a switch off and on again, and restart the Xbox as well, just to make sure that the guys and girls are happy with this. Weirdly, it's only ever the Xbox that we get these issues with, Andy. So the drivers, thankfully, are the first to let us know if there's any issues with the server. So 3.5 minutes left to go. Let's have a look. So it looks like Tony Logie is your current pole sitter, 62.123. So we haven't made ourselves into the 61 second bracket just yet, Andy.
No, we haven't, but as we ride on board with Tony Logie here, it's worth noting that this is a massive event for him, because he is second in the championship at the moment, just 3 points behind the leader, Aidan Wilson, who of course didn't qualify for the finals, so Tony has a big chance to pull away at the top of the standings here.
Certainly does, and there we go, straight in with a 61.916. James Black then 2 minutes 45. And yeah, that's a great lap, but it just shows again the pace that these drivers have all got. 7 drivers within 1 second of each other here, so this is shaping up very, very nicely through to the race. And yeah, this is going to be an awesome set of races, I think, for tonight. Let's have a look then. We've got Josh McNabb down there in 3rd place. You've got Tony Logie in 2nd, Cameron Evans in 4th, and Bryn Hawkins in 5th. We've got Andrew Gilman and John Duncan in Cormac Patterson in 8th place. We've got Tapeable Puma, that is Ian Menzies, and then Inclining Skates is Mark Winus. Now, the difficulty that we have on the Xbox is the fact that the nicknames really don't give you any clues as to why. Wayne Kerr and let's see, Cameron Evans were asking, why is there 10 drivers tonight instead of the 9? I believe that is to do with a penalty that was decided during the week. I think there's an announcement coming out on that, but certainly I just get the list of the drivers to invite into the session. So I think that was something to do with an incident that happened during qualifying, and I think that one of the drivers was invited. I think that would have been John Duncan into to the final there. So we'll see how that progresses through here. 1 minute left to go in the session, and of course we've limited the numbers, because normally what we would have done, Andy, is that we would have normally had 14 drivers into the finals, but we've been having these connection issues with the Microsoft platform, so we've taken it down to ensure or try and improve the quality of the driving. It's not really worked if our qualifiers is anything to go by. Cormac Patterson saying that it's going to be a very, very long night for him. Now, he is down in 8th place there, 63.192, so he's obviously not able to make anything of this right now, as we see James Black still up at the top there, 61.916. But Tony Logie we've seen having incredible pace, as does Josh McNabb down there in 3rd place. So it'll be very interesting to see how this one is going to develop over the course of the next half an hour. I mean, the thing is that these obviously races take about 20 minutes, including the qualifying and then the race as well. Do you think there's much opportunity for the drivers to change anything between the races?
I think it's difficult, David, to be honest, and I would suggest that they've probably, if they've not lapped this circuit at least 100 times or so in preparation for any of these events, that they'll be dialed into these cars. And I think if you make a change at this stage, you potentially it starts to risk playing with your minds, and then you start to believe that you're kind of chasing your tail a little bit. I think my approach certainly would be as you get yourself dialed in, you do as many laps as you can practicing on your own, and then when you're comfortable with the car, when you're comfortable with the setup and the environment around you, then you just kind of go from there. A change so late in the day, for me, brings more problems than benefits.
Some very sage advice there, but there you go. James Black on pole position from Tony Logie. It's then Josh McNabb and Cameron Evans on row 2, Bryn Hawkins and Andrew Gilman in row 3, John Duncan and Cormac Patterson on row 4, and at the back of the grid is Ian Menzies and Mark Wyness. So without further ado, let's get onto race number 1 for the Xbox. So the drivers are ready, the lights are on, we are ready to go racing here at Silverstone, and away we go. James Black gets the start and he's got a decent bit of a lead over Tony Logie into second place there. Again, we'll have to ask you to bear with us while the connection settles itself down a little bit over the next couple of laps there, but it is still James Black and all the cars make their way through very, very safely. Mark Wyness at the back of the grid there, Josh McNabb dicing for that 4th position. He's going to try and hold round the outside. There's a bit of contact there between the 3 cars and they're 3 abreast round Abbey. This is what you want to see. This is more like it from the Xbox. We don't mind a little bit of door handle to door handle stuff, but they've already gone further than some of the qualifiers last week.
Just had my eyes glued to Tony Logie there around those first couple of corners, and look at that, he's made his way through as he comes round to Luffield here. Wow, absolutely fantastic stuff there.
Josh McNabb absolutely manhandled round the corner there. He's got cars trying to turn in on him, and there's all sorts of nonsense going on behind, so we'll have to keep an eye on that one as we see Andrew Gilman trying to keep his foot in, and Josh McNabb gets sent all the way to the back of the grid there. So the cars all making their way around. Tony Logie in lap number 2 there. We've got James Black in second place, then John Duncan in third with Cameron Evans in 4th place. Cormac Patterson makes a stunning drive all the way up into 5th place there. It's going to be in 6th place, that's going to be Ian Menzies there as well. He goes a little bit wide into Abbey and that costs him that 6th place and he's down into 7th. So the cars all making their way round again. James Black now into the lead. And what has happened to your race leader? Where has he gone?
Certainly dropped back anyway, David. I don't know if he's maybe picked up a little penalty.
Well, Tony Logie is now down into 7th place there, so yeah, that's going to be a hefty penalty if that is what has happened there. Well, let's have a look at the time penalties. 1 second each for Tony Logie, and for I think that's Mark Wyness that has got that one as well. We'll take that off and we'll go and have a look at this. Now look at that, 5 cars, 6 cars in a battle for the lead. And we're already on to lap 3. This is fantastic close racing. We haven't seen this level of performance from the Xbox drivers so far.
No, we haven't, but again, we mentioned there, we know they've all got the pace, and it's just a case of, in the first couple of rounds, just trying to settle yourself down. And again, as we spoke about earlier, getting to know the car, getting to know the track, but getting to know the platform that you're racing on as well. And there's contact there with a couple of cars spinning off.
Yep, we see a big moment there. That was Cormac Patterson and Bryn Hawkins who got caught up in that one as well. Mark Wyness struggling to recover, so Cormac Patterson sent to the back of the field there, and I wonder if he just got a couple of wheels onto the grass there. He didn't look to take too much contact there, so I am wondering if that's what's happened. But talking of contact, James Black punted. He's been quarter panelled by Cameron Evans, 100% there. That was legitimately pushed to pass, certainly from the angle we were watching from. We will save the replay and have another look at that, but that definitely did look like push to pass there from Cameron Evans on let's see, that was who was that was actually in the lead. James Black is all the way down into 5th place now, so John Duncan up into seconds, and this is starting to become more what we're used to seeing from the Xbox drivers. They're so aggressive on the passing moments here, and it looks like Cameron Evans has a bit of a compromised exit from Abbey, and it's now half a second, 0.4 of a second between him and JD in 2nd place.
Wouldn't be surprised if there's a complaint in there against Cameron Evans, to be honest with you, David. The drivers seem to be bunching up round about Luffield. That seems to be where they're coming together. They seem to be a few of them taking some different lanes into that corner as well, and that's one where time can certainly be won or lost, as we're seeing here now, as that is a big move coming on there with James Black.
Yeah,
making his way up to 4th place.
James Black up the inside of Andrew Gilman there, so that was a cracking move to take that 4th place back immediately as Josh McNabb is down to 7th place. Ian, that was, Mark Winus that has moved up into, it was Ian Menzies that's moved up to 6th place there, and Josh McNabb getting sent further and further back here. He's now down into 8th place, so that was Mark Winus that passed him there. And Josh tries to take him on the inside of Abbey. Brilliant little battle for 7th and 8th place there, but this is not where Josh McNabb wanted to be. He's got the pace to be up there with the front runners right now, and this battle now closing even further between Cameron Evans and Tony Logie and John Duncan. John Duncan just loses out to Tony Logie, so Tony Logie up into 2nd place, and it's now between Cameron Evans and Tony Logie. 4.5 minutes left to go.
I thought that was quite wise by John Duncan there, just to back out of that move into the left field there, David. I wasn't sure if he was going to try and force his nose into the inside, but he's taking the wise decision just to set back, let those cars in front of him scrap out between the two of them, and then he's there perhaps to pick up the pieces. There's just over 4 minutes left to go in this race. Yeah,
and it's what we said about last time round in the PS4, about biding your time, about holding patience. And look at that up the inside as Cameron Evans and Tony Logie fighting it out, and was there contact there from John Duncan as well? Was that insult to injury from JD? And it's now Tony Logie into the lead, as that's going to be James Black right on the back. Let's keep an eye on this one, because it was James Black and a push to pass from Cameron Evans. And is there going to be a little bit of a favour repaid here? This is going to be very, very interesting to watch this one here, because he's going to fire it up the inside, and no, he thinks better of it. Some fantastic mature driving there from James Black, but your race leader is Tony Logie. But Tony Logie does have a time penalty, 2-second time penalty, so John Duncan just needs to stay there, and John Duncan will win this race. But it's all about these next 3.5 minutes just now, because John won't know that.
Absolutely, and if John can just stay in the toe, I would say as well, then he's given himself a chance to just move away from those behind him as well. But still plenty of drama here. 4 of them separated by just over a second now as we come around to the Wellington Straight. Lots still to play for here in the last couple of minutes. Yep,
he went very, very wide into Abbey, and Cameron Evans trying to make the most of that one. James Black also on the back, and there's a huge contact there. No idea what on earth happened there to Cameron Evans, but he just got absolutely slingshotted off the back of John Duncan there, and I wonder if he tried to just get a little bit too close to that car in front. Thankfully, he stays back in 4th place there, but that was a huge moment for that car there.
Credit to him for keeping that car on the track, and he's disappeared. He seems to have
I think he's disconnected. I wonder if he's been having connection issues on that. Or he could have just decided enough's enough, I'm not going to bother with that. We'll find out, because he's on the stream chat just now, so we'll find out what has happened with him in just a second. But John Duncan still in 2nd place there, and look at that, James Black in 3rd place. James Black now hunting down John Duncan, tries to go around the outside of Abbey and get the cutback. Will that work? I don't think it will, because he's now dropped into the behind there. Now Cameron Evans is asking for another invite, so he's obviously disconnected. Cameron, we can't get you back into this heat, buddy, but we will of course get you back into to round number 2. But let us know how that heat was, because it's looking a little bit jittery on there. And well, of course I've asked him now, and he's going to say, yeah, it was a lag that totally knocked me out there. But yeah, we'll do what we can. Cameron, we can't, so let's say we can't get you back into this heat. That's it's not going to be possible, but we will get you in for heat number 2 in just a couple of minutes time. So we have a retirement from the race. Tony Logie though with 1.5 minutes left to go, ahead of John Duncan. But this is just, it's so ominous, isn't it, from James Black?
He's looking very lively, David. I was just thinking that there over that last half a lap or so. I was wondering if he was going to bide his time, but he wants to make his way past John Duncan there and get that 2nd place. He's got a chance here as we come down the Wellington Straight. Got a good run at him, and he seems to be through. Can he now defend as we go into Brooklands?
We'll soon find out. I think that he's already going to have that move made, and that shows the incredible pace that he had through Abbey, and makes the move stick. So James Black into second place, and meanwhile Tony Logie is coming round the corner for the penultimate time. He's going to go across the line to start the last lap of this first race. James Black in second place, John Duncan in third. Now John has got penalties as well, so he's got a second of penalties. We've got Andrew Gilman in fourth place with a second of penalties as well. Josh McNabb, he's got penalties as well. So everybody has got penalties right now.
And Tony Logie, he could have very nearly won this race. Look at that gap, 1.5 seconds as well. He's got that 2-second penalty. If James Black gets into a little bit of trouble here, who knows what could happen as we come back round to the Wellington Straight again for the final time.
Well, this is the thing, is that if Tony Logie can just bring out 3/4 of a second, he has got this race. And as James Black won't know that at all. So we'll have to look at that gap. It's going up very, very slightly. It's over 2 seconds, but it comes straight back down again. So let's have a look at Tony Logie then through Woodcote for the final time. 1.6 seconds is not going to be enough. And he's going to take the checkered flag. So Tony Logie is going to drop down. I think that's going to put him in second place. But it's going to be James Black who takes the win after the penalties are done. John Duncan takes third place there from Andrew Gilman. Josh McNabb in fifth place. It's going to be Cormac Patterson across the line in sixth. Seventh place is going to go to Mark Winus. Eighth place is going to go to Bryn Hawkins. Ninth place is going to go to Ian Menzies. And a DNF then for Cameron Evans. So we're going to take a little break there. There's your 1, 2, 3. James Black, Tony Logie and John Duncan. We'll be back. We're going to go and restart the server, so everybody in the Xbox lobby, you'll get some new invites. And we will be back very, very shortly.
glance. Bring me back to life. If we had another chance, I would never let you steal my glance. Bring me back to life.
So, a very warm welcome back then for the final time tonight, and we are ready for race 2 here at the round 3 finals at Silverstone National. Another 10-minute qualifying session followed by a 10-minute race. We've given everything a dust down and a nice clean, and switched it off at the wall again and switched it back on again, and Andy, I'm delighted to say that everything looks to be back to normal. So Xbox Race 1 was way better than I think both you and I expected.
No, it certainly was. I thought the action was pretty good, pretty close, nice and competitive. Pretty impressed with James Black, I have to say. I thought he had a very, very good race there, and it'll be interesting to see if he can carry that momentum forward into what is the final race of the night, of course. Thought he did quite well. John Duncan as well, of course, was right up there in terms of his pace. So yeah, I think there's still a lot to be decided. Of course, Cameron Evans, retiring from the first event, can he make his way back through the pack? We know he's got the pace, but it's can he just keep himself out of trouble, avoid other cars coming into contact with him, and then he'll make his way through his pack. He's third in the championship standings for a reason. We know he's quick, but he really needs a strong result for this one.
Yep, cars on track at the moment then, 8.5 minutes left to go. And actually what we'll do is we'll just remind you who we've got out in this session then, the final race of the evening. Josh McNabb, Bryn Hawkins, Andrew Gilman, Cormac Patterson, Ian Menzies, Mark Wyness, Tony Logie, Cameron Evans, James Black and John Duncan are out on track just now, and as you can see, it's absolutely buttery smooth now out there. So yeah, great to see that the cars are out there in ideal conditions, and I wonder how this second one is going to pan out.
It's amazing the difference it makes turning things on and off, isn't it?
It's the good old technical solution, but yeah, I mean, it's obviously we've had problems with Microsoft and having cars, or rather having over 12 cars in the lobby really does completely saturate the game. It just doesn't seem to be able to hold it, but yeah, we do that whenever we get a bit of an issue. And I think, to be honest, I think it doesn't like when we swap over between the PS4 and then into the to the Xbox as well. So it's by the by, the drivers are able to get a race out of it, and they can still drive, and straight away we're seeing the lap times come in. So 62.848 from James Black, and I think there's a lot of scores to settle in this second race, don't you, Andy?
Yeah, I definitely do. And I'm just watching the cars as they make their way around the track here. Look at them just starting to bunch up a little bit. The drivers are very keen to get into that slipstream of the car in front as they go down that Wellington Straight, because that's where they can build up a lot of time, and that could be the difference between getting up to those front couple of rows on the grid and maybe being a little bit further down the pack. Yeah,
let's go on board then with Cameron Evans, and we will do a little on-board lap. We're just coming down in towards the final section of the circuit. This is down into Brooklands, and then it's into Luffield, and it's a long right-hander here at Luffield. It really does tighten up, and you have to be so patient on the throttle here. Around Woodcut, and we will start our flying lap on board. And he's got a great toe, does Cameron Evans, so we'll see how that one goes. Along the start-finish straight then, under the Silverstone sign, and it's into turn 1, Cops Corner. You have to pick your braking point very, very early, and then let the car drift out and back onto the power. It's along the wonderful, wonderful stretch to Maggots and Beckett's, but of course you cut off before you get to Beckett's. You would normally turn left again, and that's his lap compromised by the car in front. Along Abbey here, and then it's on the Wellington Straight. And I keep calling it Abbey. It's not Abbey, it's Aintree. I don't know why I keep calling it Abbey. Abbey's like
the new one. Yeah. You know, see when you get to Abbey on the full circuit layout, you know, I'm maybe a bit more old school, but I'm looking at all the cars to go and turn left and go to the bridge, you know,
over the old layout. But
when they go around that farm and village, I'm like, what's this? Just lose all my bearings.
Yeah, and it's when I first started learning the new layout as well, I got so confused between the old pit straight and the new pit straight, because it still turns right on both corners, and of course one is much more gentle than the other. Abbey is far easier to get into than Cops Corner. So yeah, let's have a look back at your pole sitter at the moment. Is James Black still into the 61s again, 61.998, as we see a car stopping off to the left hand side there.
Again, maybe looking to just get themselves into the toe, I wonder. Don't really like to see cars stopping on the track though. So let's just try and pick them up and see as they make their way around. I'm wondering
if that was that Cormac Patterson? No, it's the car behind Cormac there, the green car that we saw recovering back to there. So we will find it. We'll go down the order. It was James Black. So it was James Black that was stuck at the side of the road there. So that wasn't the best, because obviously it's a fast left-hander there on the exit of Cops and then into Maggots. So yeah, not the best, not the cleverest idea, but it is what it is. Cameron Evans though, 0.02 of a second behind your pole sitter, so that's a fast lap, and he's moving aside to let the two cars behind him move up. So Cameron Evans was sitting plumb last and pops himself up in second place.
I think Cameron's got a little bit more time in the bank as well, David, because we noticed when we were following him on the on-board, he just set the fastest lap at that point in the session. And he, again, look at him now as he's trying to get himself into the slipstream here. There is still a very good chance, with just over 3 minutes to go, that we could see Cameron Evans take pole position for this final round.
Certainly could. I absolutely agree. I think he's got the pace, but it's hit and miss with Cameron. He's a very, very talented driver, but it's getting that consistency. And I wonder if maybe he'll be making up for the loss in that first race there.
No, he'll certainly be fired up. You know, he'll go into this one with a point to prove, and rightly so. But as we've spoken about earlier on throughout the events here, you don't necessarily need to be the absolute fastest in qualifying to go on and get a positive result. As long as you're there or thereabouts, you keep the car out of trouble in the first couple of laps, and crucially, you avoid picking up any penalties, then you'll go on and you could get a very good result here. Because again, it's a pretty short track, it's a pretty short lap, so if you can just keep it out of trouble for the first couple of minutes, you can then build and go on from there.
Fantastic example there. 8 cars within 1 second of each other. Sorry, seven cars within 1 second. Cormac Patterson just outside at 1.2 seconds. So again, just proving exactly the point you've just made there, that it's not all about qualifying pace but race pace as well, and it makes it so difficult if there is any accidents or issues or anything like that with the drivers to fight their way back through the grid.
No, absolutely, and I'm just looking through the leaderboards there. I'm looking for John Duncan, and I'm wondering why he's sitting there in 7th place, because he's got a little bit more pace in that car, so not a lot of time left in this session as he's weaving the car from left to right down the Wellington Straight, trying to get a little bit of heat on those tyres, and I think he seems set for at least one more flying lap to try and make his way up the pack.
Well, let's go on chase cam then with John Duncan as he makes his way round Brooklands to start off. Potentially, he'll have 2 flying laps. That's what he's got time for here. And he exits Luffield, tries to get a good run, tries to get as much speed as he can around Woodcote. And it doesn't look fast, but then these GT5 cars aren't the fastest cars on this Silverstone circuit. So what they do have though is an incredible power to weight ratio. These cars are so light.
Yeah, absolutely, and they're cars that reward a smooth driving style, I think, as well. Particularly as you come up here into the Maggots and Abbey section. If you've noticed some of the drivers taking a very wide line into this corner, but if you spot the odd one or two that takes it quite tight, if you grab a little bit too much curb on the inside, these cars are very, very lively at the back end and they will spin out. So if you're smooth, if you're patient with them, you will be rewarded with speed.
So we now have 2 cars into the 101s, and that is quite a feat. We see Tony Logie jumping up to the top of the timing screens with a 61.883 ahead of James Black, 61.998, and I don't think James Black was potentially expecting that one to happen, and it is an absolute free-for-all for qualifying. JD has decided to pull off into the pits. He's done with his lap, so is Tony Logie. Let's have a look now at the cars that remain on track, because we've got 20 seconds left to go, and this is going to be it. This is going to be the final lap for a lot of these drivers. Cormac Patterson still out on track as well. He's not going to get a second lap in, and neither is James Black. James Black is just going to miss out here with 3 seconds left to go, so this is all they wrote. Woodcote corner, what can James Black do? Does he have anything in the tank? No, he doesn't. 61.998, and it looks like that is going to be it then. Tony Logie in pole position from James Black. Cameron Evans in 3rd place. Josh McNabb in 4th. Andrew Gilman in 5th place. It's going to be Bryn Hawkins in 6th. John Duncan in 7th place. It's going to be 8th place for Cormac Patterson. 9th place is going to be Ian Menzies. And then 10th place is going to be, that's going to be, Ian Menzies in 9th place, and 10th place for Mark Wyness. Always get those two mixed up. Right, 10 cars in the lobby. We are ready to go. Cameron Evans is happy with the setup. He's good to go. And this is your final 10-minute race of tonight, Andy. Let's do this.
Absolutely. Tony Logie, look at that. He's ready to go, flashing the lights on. He's very keen to get started. If he gets a good getaway and keeps it clean, he could go on and get a very good result here.
Lights are on and they're off, and it's away we go for the final race of the night. One man who's got an awesome start is Josh McNabb, away around the outside. Has Josh McNabb jumped the start because he's going to try and go around the outside of Copse Corner? They're side by side along this stretch of the Silverstone circuit. We've got contact behind. That is John Duncan, and let's have a look there. That was Mark Winus, I think, that was involved in that one as well. And Josh McNabb has been left out to dry around Aintree Corner there. We'll finally get the right name of it, and he's going to go round the outside. How did Josh do that? He just drove round the outside of Tony Logie there. The pace that lad has got is absolutely incredible. Cameron Evans, it's another DNF from him. He is given up on the race, and I wonder if it was him that was caught up with that contact earlier on. James Black down into third place there. And there we go, there's confirmation then. Josh McNabb drive-through penalty, so he did jump the start. That's why he got an awesome start to the race there. But meanwhile, the race continues. Tony Logie in the lead from James Black. Third place for Cormac Patterson. Cormac Patterson moves up to second place. So Cormac Patterson over James Black there. Bryn Hawkins has been absolutely mugged by John Duncan, who fires it up the inside of Aintree there. So it's all kicking off further down the order here. And I think Tony Logie now, he doesn't really have anyone that's on pace to catch up with him. And just having a look here as we see Cormac Patterson and James Black fighting it out for that second place here. Cormac Patterson, out of absolutely nowhere, has brought himself up, and Cormac Evans, just confirmation, he's had to retire with more connection issues, so he has dropped out of the race there. But Andy, this is a fantastic start to the second race.
It is, absolutely. And again, I keep going and referencing that man, but Tony Logie there, just watching his start, he had a threat from left and right going into Copse. He managed to keep his cool. And look at that gap, 1.2 seconds now. But Cormac Patterson, credit to him, sitting up there in second place at the moment. Can he hold on to that second podium place?
So let's have a look here, and here we go. It's a fight for that second place then, as Cormac Patterson fires up the inside, as Andrew Gilman as well tries to make it stick, and Andrew Gilman has absolutely thwomped James Black down into fourth place there. This is awesome stuff here, because Cormac Patterson's got so much pace. And look at that, James Black tries to fire it through the inside and makes it stick. Does he? No, he runs wide. And that's going to be huge drama for Cormac Patterson. Rejoins and just holds on. I thought he was going to go ploughing straight in to Bryn Hawkins there. Bryn gives him a little bit of space there, and maybe a little bit more polite than he needed to be, because Cormac Patterson forced that issue there.
That was nervy. I really thought he was going to collide with a couple of cars there in Luffield, but managing to keep the car on track. But now, can he do a little recovery drive, make his way through? We've got John Duncan up there into fourth place now as well, one to keep an eye on with just over 6 minutes remaining. Yeah,
this is setting itself up to be an absolute cracker of a race right now. Look at that, Andrew Gilman up the inside of James Black as well, and Cormac Patterson now down into fifth place. John Duncan from seemingly nowhere is back up into this one as well. And Cameron Evans, I've just realised Cameron Evans was third in the championship, so that is a huge issue for him to get no points out of this final as well as Ian Wilson. So this puts Tony Logie up as your de facto leader of the championship so far.
It's been a massive round with implications of the Xbox Championship standings here. Aidan Wilson, of course, not qualifying for this event at all. Cameron Evans into trouble for both of the events. Tony Logie, look at that, he's pulling away now 2.5 seconds lead from the chasing pack. And James Black, of course, is still holding off the threat of Andrew Gilman, but yeah, this could have massive ramifications for the championship standings.
Well, I think it already has. We'll have to try and decipher what it means during the week for the qualifying. But again, we have a 2-week break. We'll be back with Le Mans after this one, and what a week that's going to be. What a qualifying event, and what a finals event we've got. We're going to ignore Tony Logie just for just now, only because he's 2.5 seconds up in the lead, and he's making it look so easy, as John Duncan gets a little bit of contact behind from Andrew Gilman. Andrew Gilman moves up into 4th place, and it sends him all the way back into the clutches of Bryn Hawkins and Cormac Patterson for 4th, 5th and 6th place. Meanwhile, that releases James Black away to try and catch down to Tony Logie. I don't think that's going to happen, because look at the pace that John Duncan has got against Andrew Gilman. They come over the line to start lap number 6 here, and 4.5 minutes left to go. Wow, I just don't know where to look as we see Andrew Gilman going very wide on the exit of Cops Corner. That's going to put him down into 4th place. John Duncan is going to have the inside line into entry. In fact, he already makes the move stick, and that means that Bryn Hawken can make the move on the inside. There's contact between the two of them again, and that means that Cormac Patterson is going to try and take advantage 3 wide down the Wellington straight. Oh, welcome to Xbox.
Fantastic drama here, David, as we go into the last couple of minutes of this race. I was just thinking there that Andrew Gilman's done a very good job of making his way through this field and up to a podium position, but he's just dropped back now into 4th. You've got John Duncan right in front of him, though. All these yellow cars are an absolute nightmare for us to try and keep a track of, but you know, it's still all to play for here. And of course, we've got Bryn Hawkins right in the mix as well.
Yep, so it's still Tony Logie with 3.5 minutes left to go, 2.5 seconds ahead of James Black. That position looks comfortable. He is now 2.2 seconds ahead of this 3-car battle for 3rd place, In fact, make that a 4-car battle now, because Cormac Patterson is still back on the end of that train as well. But now Andrew Gilman under all sorts of pressure from Bryn Hawkins, who tries to... goodness knows where he was braking. I think he was off to the rest of the track. Cormac Patterson hits the back of Bryn Hawkins and is in all sorts of trouble, tries to regain composure of the car, and that sets him way back there. And yeah, that was an interesting moment to say the least. But look at that, Andrew Gilman back up to the back of John Duncan, and Bryn Hawkins is not happy with that one. He is wanting to catch back to the tail of Andrew Gilman there. 2 minutes 40 left to go. What do you think we're going to see in the final couple of minutes, Andy?
Absolute drama. I'm just wondering if Andrew Gilman can make his way past John Duncan. It really is so close, but then look at that. You know, Bryn Hawkins is piling on the pressure here as we go into Cops Corner. Oh, and this is pure drama, David. Absolutely edge of your seat stuff, and still, I'm no doubt about it, we're in for another nerve-wracking finish.
We certainly are. 8 laps are in the books, and that gap is almost 3 seconds between Tony Logie and 2nd place of James Black. Like that though, John Duncan has been released, as we see Bryn Hawken desperately trying to catch up to the tail of Andrew Gilman. He's given him some space now, 0.4 of a second, and Cormac Patterson is nowhere to be seen. Meanwhile, behind them is Ian Menzies along with Mark Wyness, and Josh McNabb at the back of the field after that drive-through penalty. It's been a disaster. It's been a night to forget for Josh McNabb there, but back up with the battle for 3rd place. It's now 1 second apiece between all 3 of these drivers.
Just look at the time that John Duncan's put in there over the last lap as they're about to cross the start-finish line again. What we're seeing is Andrew Gilman and Bryn Hawkins, had they been scrapping there over the last couple of laps, that's really freed John Duncan away from him so that he can consolidate that 3rd place with just over a minute to go.
Well, John Duncan is going to be getting a bill for that foam core brake marker that he just absolutely exploded into a million pieces there. So we'll definitely be doing that. But a 1.5 seconds now he's got of a gap over Andrew Gilman in that 2nd place. And I think Bryn Hawkins is now, look at that, Bryn's just fallen off the back, and the drivers all flashing their lights to try and get the attention of the driver in front. I don't think that's going to work, to be honest. I think John is a seasoned veteran on tracks here, and I don't think anything's going to be putting him off right now.
No, absolutely not. He looks pretty dialed in. His times seem to be fairly consistent as well. And if you just look at that between him and Andrew Gilman, look, there's a good gap between the two of them here as we're set to come round for the last lap of the final event of the evening.
25 seconds to go, and as Andy Alston is accurately even pointed out, this is indeed the last lap of the evening. Tony Logie has made it look so straightforward and comfortable, despite a very brief scare from Josh McNabb on a cracking start, but turned out too good to be true and ended up being a jump start. It's James Black in second place, John Duncan in third place. Looks to be safe, 9/10 of a second safe from Andrew Gilman in fourth place, Bryn Hawkins in fifth. There is going to be a whole load of penalties, so Andrew Gilman with 1 second and the rest of the field with 2 seconds left of penalties, so that means that it is going to finish as they were, as we see your race leader Tony Logie coming round through Woodcote Corner for the final time tonight. Tony Logie wins heat number 2 for the Xbox. A brilliant win there. 5.5 seconds ahead of James Black, who just finishes ahead of John Duncan. Fourth place goes to Andrew Gilman. Fifth place will go to Bryn Hawkins. And Cormac Patterson finishing in a great 6th place there. It's going to be Ian Menzies in 7th place, Mark Wyness in 8th, and then Josh McNabb in 9th place there. Well, what do you say to that, Andy? That was a fantastic evening here.
It certainly was. I think it's been a really great advert for the SMRC eSports Championship as a whole. This has been a brilliant addition to the calendar. I think this round in general just had a little bit of everything. It's been a great way, this whole esports initiative, to bring the whole SMRC community together. And when we're treated to some great action like that, it just makes it all the better.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for coming aboard, Andy. Finally, your first night joining us here in the virtual commentary box. What was it like for yourself?
Yeah, it was really enjoyable, I have to say. I thought the first race in the PS4, it was the drivers were kind of scrapping it out, and it took a bit of time for that race to settle. But the second race and thereon, I think the drivers really learned that look, this is all about minimising the potential risk of penalties. And we saw that there in the last round. It was from 5th, 6th downwards. It was from 2 seconds. So as the drivers began to just get to grips and to take it every inch of the track, but no more than that, we were treated to some great action. So thoroughly enjoyed it, and of course we've got another cracker coming up for round 4.
Yep, we certainly do. So we're taking a week's break, and we will be back on the 8th of July, where we take the qualifying heats for the circuit, the 24 hours of Le Mans. We go to the Circuit de la Sarthe, and the drivers swapping around the Ginetta G40 GT5s, this time for the 2015 Aston Martin Vantage GTE. A stunning, iconic car on a stunning, iconic track. This is going to be one to remember. From myself, David Christie, and from our very welcome new guest into the SMRC eSports commentary box, Andy Alston, thank you very much for watching, guys, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time.